स्ट्रीमिंग चालू है? हम्म Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host and host, Anupam and Pratik. Yeah. And I would like you to welcome you all to the Elocution Battle of a program by a Orator Club, Triple IT Nagpur, under the fest Abhivyakti. And now I would like Pratik to take over it.
Okay, first of all, on the behalf of Orator Club, I would like to welcome our judge, Mr. Krishna Purohit. He has been part of executive board in various MUNs. He also held the position of secretariat at other competitions and MUNs. Apart from that, he was also the chief advisor for Global Federal League, and that too at the very young age of 21. Sir, we welcome you and we really admire you. So, Anupam, do you know what is a startup?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Even I have recently watched Shark Tank India and everybody else.
Well, great. And do you know what is a legacy company?
Yeah, like Microsoft, Reliance, Tata, etc.
Well, indeed. And which one do you think is better?
Yeah, that's a hot topic.
Yeah, indeed it is. And so, topic for our today's battle is startup versus legacy companies. Who holds the future? So, before we begin, I would first like to brief you all about the rules. First, each contestant will be given 180 seconds to present his or her thoughts. It is important to remember to stick to the time limit. At 150 seconds, you will hear a buzzer sound.
Yeah, let me play it.
And
Everybody is comfortable with this or not?
okay, and after another buzzer will be played at the end of 180 seconds. At that moment, you have to stop. And
Yeah.
please remember, you have only have 180 seconds. It is important to stick to the time limit. Second, the candidates are instructed not to use any inappropriate language or any verbal abuse. If found, he or she will be disqualified at that very moment. Third, you are not allowed to speak unless your turn come up. So I request all the candidates to speak only when their turn arrives. No candidate is allowed to interrupt in between speeches. Please maintain a healthy debate environment and please maintain the decorum. So let's start our battle. And so our first contestant is Vishnu Sai Teja. Vishnu.
And all the best.
Before that, uh, just Yash Mishra, Yash, are you there?
Hello? Yeah.
Vishnu, we can't hear you.
Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir. Wait for a second. Krishna is here.
Sir, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just, I guess all
Yeah.
these have already taken prior in hand. One more thing that it is a generous request to the people who will be giving their own speeches. Please on your camera so that it will be, on the R end to give you the marks on the basis of the expression which you use. So that is one.
Okay.
I guess he's saying to turn on your cameras. So all the candidates are requested when the turn comes, please turn on their cameras as well.
And one more thing that though at my end it's not quite rigid that you have to अगर 180 seconds to cross कर रहा होगा तो कुछ harsh impulsions होते but make sure that you don't cross it because at the end of the day it is a competition and competition do have some rules. So 180 time limit को please adhere करना वरना फिर क्या फिर issue हो जाएगा. That's the basic thing. Fine, guys?
Okay, Vishnu, start now.
Can I start now?
Yeah.
Am I audible? Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay,
good.
So, good afternoon, everyone. This is Vishnu Sai Teja. So, I am here to present my point of view on the discussion of legacy companies versus startups and who are going to hold the future. So, as per me, every time, all time, the startups are going to lead the future. If you ask me why, as the startups, their main motive for the establishment is the product of uniqueness. If you have something unique from that of the marketplace, then the people are always going to like your product, right? If it makes their life easier, they are going to like your product. Then that's what drives the startup forward. And but the startups at a smaller scale can work properly, and they don't have any issues with the funding. So when they try to scale the startup to a further level, for example, if you take a Bangalore-based startup, it can only access in areas of in some particular areas. But if it want to expand services in all over India, like if it want to provide pan-India services, it have to have a larger funding and resources for the further expansion of the startup. And these startups can raise their funds through two ways. Like they can approach the institutional firms like the Tiger Global, SoftBank, and the Vanguard groups for their fundings. They will be getting sufficient amount of funds, and the decision makings can be controlled by the founder or the board of directors. And the second thing is you can take the funding from the institutional firms, financial firms, like the legacy companies, as you call, and they can proceed. But in the first case, when you take the funding from a some sort of a institutional firms or else institutional firms, you need to provide the answers for all the questions you need to where you are using the funds, and those people will be allowing you to use the funds correctly, or else they will be guiding you to use the funds. So in those cases, you can proceed with your ideas, and I mean, you don't have any particular pressure on you need to do this, you need to do this. There will be no kind of pressure on you for proceeding or for the future of your company for the decisions you make. But in the case of the institutional financial firms, you need to provide some sort of like, if even if they ask you to implement something you don't want to implement with your company, then you need to do that because of the situation you are bound to. And in those cases, the growth of the company may be a setback for the company. It may be a setback, but in the first case, you are going to proceed, smooth, unless or until you have a particular product of uniqueness that the people are going to like in the startup. And in the second case, obviously, you know that there is a setback, but you can expand it quite. For example, a general case study. If you take the case of an Ether energy company, which was a Bangalore-based startup, and while considering it, it has raised about 38% of 38% of its holding to the Hero Motor Corp for its further expansions and the money needs. But when you consider this case, the Ether company has raised its funds from the perspective of Ether company. It's really quite good that you have raised the fund for your expansion. But in the case of the Hero Motor Corp, within few weeks, it has already launched another company called as Vida, which is also in the two-wheeler sector. So, I mean, why do you even need to have another company when you already have a company that, like, these the legacy firms try to acquire the competition around them, and try to oppress them. That's what I'm saying. Not in all the cases, but in few of the cases. So that's what is my point of view. Thank you.
Vishnu, I have to stop you. You have already exceeded time limit. So thank you, Vishnu.
Huh.
Thank you for your views, and it was really great.
He has the risk-taking ability, yeah.
Yeah, of
risk
course.
है तो इश्क है. Yeah. So not waste so much time, and now let we welcome our next participant. He is actually a good friend, Subhendu. Subhendu, go on, bhai, chak the fatte.
You are not audible.
Hello, guys.
Yeah, you're audible now.
Okay. Good afternoon, jury members and other panelists present here. Myself, Swendu Kumar, and I am a student of IIIT Nagpur. I am here to present my views that startups are the future of our country, and I am in favor of this statement. As per my opinion, startups are the next level platform for the innovation legacies don't have such R&D and actual implication time. They take much time to implicate any such development they do in R&D, while startups do as much as effectively. For example, if a Maruti company wants to launch an EV and a startup wants to launch an EV, as we all know that Maruti is known for its legacy in petrol and diesel segment. But when it comes in EV, then customers will think whether we should invest or not. That's what I want to tell. That legacies companies have their own segment in which they play, and for them to enter in new segment, there is tough and bold decision for them to take. And for the startups, that is not. And my second point is that startups startups improve the living status of artisans which belong from lower class of Indian society. For example, many footwear and life apparel brands are running D2C in India, and many big brands like Raymond, Siarams are also running, but they don't use the manpower for their production. They use the machinery, and that reduces the employment in India. But while startups are directly using artisans from villages and rural areas of India, which are developing their social status and also parting in the economy of India. So Indian, as for me, India is also supporting startups. So startups will be going to be the future of India. And at last, I will end my note by ending note. Every legacy company was once an startup. That's all. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Shubhendu. It was really a pleasure to have you here. So it was really a good speech. And now, moving further, I would like to call Abhinav Anand for his speech.
Keep Abhinav at last.
Okay.
Okay,
Anubhav
so
is at, then the next one is Krishna. Krishna, are you there?
yeah,
Yes, Krishna. You can begin now. Krishna?
Krishna Chaudhary.
That show intellectual brilliance, stories that show courageous efforts, stories that inspire your soul to get up and to work to make the world a better place. Yet, why is it so that these startups are looked down upon when compared to corporate giants? Why is it so that so many people walk away from attempting to start one? Why is it so that the so called startup culture is taking so long to get instilled in Indian minds? The topic today was legacy companies versus startups. The moment we hear this, most of the people might have first picked a side, then went on to find points of success of their sides and the failures of the other. What we need to understand here is that these legacy companies are in fact startups, just that they started early and ended up successful. Google, the name that is now almost as necessary for living as our human rights, Google was a startup once too, and it might be surprising, but it started from a rented garage in California with its founders Sergey Brin and Larry Page worrying more about the $1,700 mortgage. Despite of all they did, uh, they did whatever they wanted to, guts over fear. They kept working, and what do you know? By the end of the decade, they're both the founding fathers of a company that almost single handedly revolutionized the need for internet access to everyone. Fast forward to the present, coming up with a Google now is unimaginably harder. And it's harder not for the lack of innovation, but for the lack of incubation. Back then, Google had freedom, no competition, and most importantly, an empty and limitless market. Now, however, each time a startup begins, it is pitted against players who have been in the game for decades. What we fail to realize here is that it's not about competition, it's about providing support. Support for these small babies to usher in a hostile environment filled with dangerous entities that are waiting for a chance to pounce on them and shut them down for good. Legacy companies were startups, and now they're at the helm of affairs in their fields. But to make room for more of them, more innovation, more successful attempts to make quality of life better for people, they have to make room for them to succeed. For it was never about battling it out and winning in the first place. It's an ecosystem, and both have to go hand in hand with the aim not to succeed themselves, but to succeed with humanity as a whole. So, at the end of my address, I haven't picked up any one side yet. Because I believe that more important than succeeding individually, it would be far better to succeed as a whole. And with this, I have put forth my opinions, and thus I rest my case.
Thank you, Anurag, for your valuable
Yeah,
thoughts.
very well. So now I would like to welcome the next participant, Varda Parate. Yeah, is she available? Varda?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Uh, I would not like to take side of anyone. Like means both. If we speak about India, then both startups and
Varda, I would request you
Excuse me,
to turn
Varda.
off your
Please,
camera. Turn on your camera, please.
yeah,
We were already informed of some technicality issues, so let's continue with the
yeah.
audio.
Okay, sure.
okay, okay.
Sorry for that. Yeah. So I was telling that if we think about India, then the major problem I believe is job opportunities. So surely startups would be providing more job opportunities, and there are more creative ideas which are there in young minds. So actually it just depends on the business policies, because means even the legacy companies could also change their ideas, and we should think about more about development. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it was
Well,
nice. Yeah.
well,
So
thank you for your
now I would
thoughts.
like Deepak.
Uh, Now, Deepak, are you there?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Deepak. You can start.
Hello, everyone, and myself, Deepak Singh John, and good afternoon to all my respective seniors, judges. And shall I open the camera or not?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, yeah.
If,
1 second, please. Okay. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon to all. And my opinion is too that I'll go with the legacy company will hold the future. Many of them says that startup can enhance the new features and the new demands in the market, but I'll prefer that old company will have everything. They have revenue, and many of them think कि वो features change नहीं करते हैं. But I'll give an example like PNG, Google, Amazon, and the Reliance. PNG basically first company will take the initiative to sorry for that. Interest in the startup मतलब कि उन्होंने they make a team that the new features and the new demands in the uh, country or like that to change the features of their 1 second can you please 1 second.
Yeah, yeah, take your time.
Sorry for the disturbance. And I'll basically go with the old companies because old companies have revenue,
Deepak,
they have team, they have headquarters, they have well established and all the things. And uh, uh, I prefer the old companies. Can anyone ask questions or debate like why the startups? So I'll give the answers. Or if we have simply
We have a special section for that towards the end of the event, so you can stay in the meeting and we'll surely do that.
basically I prefer to startup old companies can hold the futures क्योंकि उनके पास revenue होता है and they have offices and they will hire the newly startup. They change their features by hiring the currently new startups to improve their features again. Thank you.
thank you, Deepak. So, our next contestant would be Vanashri. Vanashri, are you there? I guess not. Vanashri is not there. Again, Harsh. Harsh, are you there?
Yes, yes, I'm just a minute. Just a second. Am I visible?
Yeah, Harsh, you're visible.
Yeah.
You can
Uh,
start.
so, uh, Good afternoon. This is Harsh Bajaj from EC first year. Uh, this is I would say, a complex debate or a complex topic to discuss on what the like a startup or a legacy company. Uh, so a start. So India is going through this phase of startup revolution, I would say, where like we already have 60,000 registered startups by the end of the 2021, and now we are a home to 90 unicorns by the end by the end of February 2022. We are adding a unicorn every 5 days. So I would say India is on its journey to become a startup hub, and I would say like a startup ecosystem employs almost 5 lakh employees, whereas TCS, which is a legacy company, alone employs 5 lakh people. Although it is like projected that startups will be employing around 15 lakh no sorry 15 lakhs to 20 lakhs in coming 3 years. So I guess we are in the starting phase itself, but we are on our way to become a startup hub. Also, I would say what be it when we talk of legacy company, be it Infosys or be it Reliance or Facebook, they all were a startup at once. So most of us have heard of this Infosys story when it started with just 10,000 rupees that was saved with that was given to Mr. Narayan Murthy by his wife. So it's just they started early and they're now legacy companies. I'm sure the startups which are in their initial phase as of now, they'll also be standing in a similar position in coming 10 to 12 years maybe. We also like I would like to focus on how this startup culture is growing in India. Uh, like for in VC investments in startups was just $4.6 billion in 2017, which has grown to almost $34 billion in 2020, and it was 4.6 and $3.6 billion in January and February respectively of 2022. So also there was there were two consecutive months in 2021 when Indian startups got more investments in more VC investments than Chinese startups. Uh, so I would say we are on a way to like compete China in this front also. And What makes a startup successful is its USP, unique selling product, or maybe unique selling the service. So every startup we see, be it Oyo, be it Paytm, be it Ola, be it Zomato, all these had this unique services of maybe products that weren't available in the India before them, maybe these all came with the internet revolution, and maybe start maybe the startup culture that was that was supported by the government. So maybe this came with them. Also, I would say there is a projection that startups are going to lease almost to 29 lakh square meters in next 3 years. Uh, this shows us that startups are building their offices. They are building their uh, they are they are also building their offices, and uh, they are employing people. Also, I would say uh, yesterday only, I there was a news that physics wala, which is a well-known, I would say, well-known ed tech company, which started on YouTube, and it's and has over 6 million YouTube subscribers and 4.5 million app users, is going soon going to be unicorn with this funding round, which is actually great. Like we are uh, we, we are having a startups in every field, be it ed tech, fintech, or anything. Uh,
Harsh, I'm
So
really going,
tell me,
really
Harsh.
sorry. I'm going to stop you. You have actually exceeded the time limit very much, and I
Okay,
have to stop
Yeah,
thank
you
you so
now.
much. Thank you so much.
yeah. But I would say, fabulous. Means you have done whole research and it was looking like Anupam Mittal was saying, if you remember
I'm a
Shark
bit
Tank.
I'm a bit interested in this all, so I keep on researching and keep on uh,
Okay, okay.
keep the data.
Now, now I would
Thank you so
like
much.
to invite my dear friend Krishna. Krishna, are you here?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Tell all the best.
Thank you very much. Let me start the camera. Just a moment. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. I'm sorry. I'm really. And let's get started now. A very pleasant noon to all the panelists here. This is Krishna Chaudhary, ECE first year, and I am taking a staunchly optimistic view of the future. I have been long observing the electric vehicle landscape, and I squarely and firmly believe that the new generation agile startups will hold the future for the electric vehicle landscape. Now, let's start with the elephant in the room. Startups have been often criticized with the fault of that they don't have the established supply chains and relations. And people often claim that the legacy players have, of course, established supply chains, and which to their credit isn't wrong at all. But while manufacturing scale capability and supply chains have long been the fault of legacy companies, let's not forget that the startups are catching up real fast. If we take the perennial gem of the startup landscape, that is Tesla, we have a clear trend of them delivering record number of vehicles year after year, quarter after quarter. Tesla has delivered close to 1 million vehicles, which is a very significant milestone, I must say, in 2021. And this is 2020. 2020 when they delivered 500,000 vehicles. Once again, I'm reiterating. In 2021, they delivered 1 million vehicles, and in 2020 they had delivered 500,000 vehicles. That is almost doubling their numbers, which is a tremendous increase. If anything, that is a very great increase. Now, once again, Tesla is also actively expanding their fleet of manufacturing. Recently completed the construction of the world's largest battery factory, that is the Gigafactory in Nevada. The construction started in 2014, and guess what? In just 4 years, that is in 2018, the factory is producing 20 gigawatt hours of energy capacity, which is more than the entire world of car making. That is your Tata, Mahindra, Ford, or General Motors all combined. Tesla made that feat in 4 years. The startups are agile. Their DNA is in itself to disrupt. And while the gloomy companies have long sailed on their acumen of branding, naam se chalta hai, I do believe it's time to change. And I do believe it's moment that we go from the naam se chalta hai to kaam se chalta hai. The last time innovation in gas cars happened was in 1970, when the ACs were started in the cars. And from then, all that has happened in the gas vehicle industry, which was, of course, pioneered by the legacy companies, is they remodeled the cars. Leather seats, cloth seats, leather seats, cloth seats. That's has all that really has been. And maybe, oh, look at that front rear exterior. We have a new light. Oh, look at our rear bumper. That is the message they are marketing right now. And compare that to the self-driving cars of the future that the startups promise and have been delivering for quite a while now. Once again, my bet is on the future, which is as exciting as the naming scheme of Tesla, which, by the way, joke. Instead of the gloomy cars of the past, of the gas guzzling monstrosity that the old legacy companies have delivered so far. That was it from my side, and this is Krishna Chaudhary once again.
Thank you, Krishna. Very well spoken. I really must
Yeah.
say that. And now we are going to have Abhinav. Abhinav, are you there?
Okay, so I'm going to share the screen because he is not over there. So here
Krishna,
just
please
mute the video.
will you turn off your video?
Okay.
Yeah, I was just doing that.
Yeah.
Sound is okay? Sound आ रही है?
इसमें थोड़ा लो आ रहा है. Actually, it's a bit low. So if you could raise the
Okay.
volume.
Today's topic, as mentioned, startups versus legacy companies, who holds the future.
Yeah, it's not good.
In some sort of way, can be misguiding, and I would like to draw your attention.
Actually, voice issue.
It's not coming actually.
Yeah.
It's coming a bit earlier, but now it's
Actually,
not
Vishal,
audible.
What?
Vishal, this is not audible. Yeah.
To hold on their customers.
आप ठीक है?
Their
ठीक है,
development and corporate structure are either way too rigid with their business model or have very less or inadequate space for a change. In other words, today's legacy companies are in a severe innovation dysfunction phase as per the requirements of Web 3.0 or any other major technological breakthrough. On the other hand, startup ecosystem is on the rise. Startups are on par, have more sophisticated market research, and are highly versatile in nature, as they can adopt and adore any new tech in their product line in a significant no time. Startups are intensely focused towards a single objective or a single domain of interest. And on the other hand, legacy companies have much diversified interest. But as we all know, startups, 90% of the startups failed in their very first 5 years of their establishment due to a variety of reasons like profit stagnation, less market reach, insufficient funding, poor leadership, etc. The best way to cope up with that is to establish or create an alliance between legacy companies and startups, in which startups can teach them how to move fast, how to implement new tech, and take risk. And on the other side, the legacy companies can teach how to build a brand, set up an organization, and supporting the market expansion. I will also like to throw light on the fact that please don't confuse alliances with acquisition, which in today's time many big tech companies are doing to establish their monopoly in the market. This is a very bad game in the business world, which in the long run will be detrimental to them also. At last, I would like to summarize that for an enrichful market, future market economy, we need to create strong alliances between startups and legacy companies. With the fusion of their experience and versatility, they will drive to the complex future markets. Thank you and have a nice day. Hello, everyone.
Okay.
All our competitors have spoken very well, and I must say that would be a tough competition. Don't you think, Anupam?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
सर ने
before
एकदम बढ़िया परफॉर्म कर दिया.
so before we begin to our open discussion, I would like to ask our judge, Mr. Krishna Purohit, to say some few words and enlighten our participants.
All right, guys. Am I audible?
Yeah, audible.
Just
You're not audible. Actually, your mic is muted.
We'll get back. Just a second.
yeah. Yes, sir. So I hope that the complete list of the speakers have been exhausted.
Yeah.
All right. So talking on the final verdict, let's not talk about the prize and all, winners and all. It's all something which is a formality purpose. Firstly, it was really good to listen to all these young minds speaking about internships, startups and legacy companies. मतलब अगर 5 साल पहले अगर किसी इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में जाते भी तो किसी को स्टार्टअप का मतलब भी नहीं पता था. People only used to talk about their their syllabus. So I guess this is the new era which has started in our nation. Ki even these young girls who have just entered in their graduation college, they are talking about startup and big companies like so on and so forth. And at this point of time, like in your 20s or 21, if you have the ambit of knowledge कि exactly equity क्या होती है, legacy companies में इतना share holding है, so on and so forth, that is completely commendable, guys. मतलब from my side, it was really good. Though it could have been a debate sort of thing, to be very honest. But again, it is the call for the secretariat की elocution होता है कि क्या होता है. So the thing was that कि सबका speeches मैंने सुना. Moreover, जो content था वो एक ही point पे आके रह रहा था. But one thing I would like to say that there were people who focus more on rhetorics. Actually, rhetorics, when you give an elocution, तो actually बिल्कुल भी useless होता है, to be very honest, because rhetorics is a approach of your communication skills जब आप एक debate में बैठे होते हो या फिर MUN में बैठे होते हो. So I would actually request कि when you are giving a single speech, for example, you want to compete with anyone else, मतलब आपको किसी को जवाब नहीं देना है, तो refrain from using rhetorics, because then rhetorics is basic वो communication skill का part होता है जिसमें आप किसी को अपने कूटनीति से काउंटर करते हो. बट यहाँ पे इसकी जरूरत ही नहीं है. यहाँ पे you only have to state facts. That is one point. And दो स्पीचेस मैंने बहुत ध्यान से सुनी थी. Both of them were actually research based. बट हाँ, मैं एक और चीज बोलूंगा, when you are stating about startups ना, कि there are n number of startups. I also don't know कि मेरे just बाजू में भी कोई startup होगा. So I need to state कि exactly startup क्या है. मतलब एक दो स्पीचेस में मैंने ये सुना था कि the members were speaking कि there was this startup and उसका ये numbers था. प्लीज स्टेट की स्टार्टअप एग्जैक्टली कौन सा था, उसके फिगर्स क्या थे, नंबर्स क्या थे, सो दैट पीपल एक्चुअली गेट टू नो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वाज द स्टार्टअप. ठीक है, दैट इज बेसिकली नोन एज द एम्बिट ऑफ आरएनए, दैट इज रिसर्च एंड एनालिसिस एंड कोटिंग ऑफ फैक्ट्स. अगर आप किसी डिबेट में होते तो आप पे कोई फैक्चुअल इनएक्यूरेसी आराम से उठा सकता था. दो दैट इज नॉट द केस हियर बिकॉज इट इज जस्ट एन एलोक्यूशन, बट इट इज जस्ट like a learning thing, because at the end of the day, it is a learning process for all of us. So that's what it is. And on a ending note, just like to thank all the people for inviting me here, especially Vipra and Yash. Yeah, and आज शाम तक मैं result declare कर दूंगा, and I have noted all the verbatim, and I'll give the customized graph also. मैं यहाँ पे अपनी Instagram ID भी share कर दूंगा along with my number. People, if they want personalized comments or remarks from my side, they can text me or call me at any time. Preferably like after 6 p.m. because मेरे offline lectures होते हैं, and I'd be happy to entertain all of them. Thank you very much, guys.
Uh,
Thank you, Krishna. And we're really enlightened to have you there here.
yeah, and thank you for giving your valuable time to us.
So yeah, I just want to add some words over here, guys. First of all, I would like to thank all the participants who came and Abhinav and all these things, because there were many DMs came to me. They were like, "Bhaiya, I'm just going out of station, but I want to be the part of this event because of you. So I'm just sending this video and all these things." So for that, for supporting Orator Club, we we would like to give you a huge thanks for supporting us. And in future also, we will be organizing these types of event, much bigger event and much bigger level. So till then, stay connected with Orator Club, and you will also have a chance to meet Krishna, because he is a guy with a humongous experience. MUN is a kind of 4 to 5 days event, and he used to be judge over there. More than 16 MUN he has hosted as a judge. So that is a much bigger thing. So we are also very thankful to Krishna to coming in Orator Club to this event, and yeah, thank you everyone all for joining us.
Yeah,
Thank you,
it
guys.
was a great event.
It was a great event, Anupam, and I think it would be a tough competition in the end. It won't be
Yeah,
easy
yeah,
for Krishna as well.
absolutely. Yeah.
So with this,
Okay.
if anyone want to add any comments, or if any of our participants want to counter any participant,
So open
if they have,
discussion. Yeah.
we can have a small open discussion if they want.
Yeah.
Secretariat members, it's just a request. Like, am I required to stay in the meeting? Like, in the meanwhile, I'll just prepare the mark sheet so that आपके result जल्दी से जल्दी आ जाएंगे. If possible, so can I leave the meeting?
Yeah, you can.
Thank you.
And regarding the event, I think we are running short on some time. So I think we can call it a wrap here. So you guys can give a formal ending to the meeting.
Okay. If that's the case, it's a very unfortunate. Then we'll wrap up here. Thank you guys for joining us, and I would like to thank our faculties, Mr. Krishna Purohit, who have already exited the meeting, but still, and all our faculties and Triple IT Nagpur for giving Auditor Club this chance, and we were really grateful to all of you. So with this, we would like to wrap up. I'm Prateek and Anupam. We are going to sign off. Thank you.
Yeah. Shabba khair. Bye bye.